Hello and welcome to the Healing Power of Plant Medicine. My name is Monica Maria Aparicio, and I am super excited to be sharing this masterclass with you. I recommend that you pull out a piece of paper, have a pen, pencil, something to take notes with, and write, as I love to give you some reflective questions that you can use in the process of absorbing this material and helping you to really integrate it and make its best use. So let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's get started. So this is a Psychology of Prosperity presentation, and we are going to learn about the power of ancestral healing, plant medicine, and cellular rewiring. And this is an introductory class. So let's see, presentation mode, where are you? Oh, I love when platforms just change things up on me. Here we go. It's like, where are you? All right. So in this intro and info session, you will learn how to heal on a cellular level via plant medicine and embodiment work. You will also learn how to use ancestral healing to shift your painful life experiences and see your past as the wisdom you have earned. You will learn how to use this medicine to develop a strong knowing of who you are and why you are here, allowing you to feel peace, harmony, and deep self-trust. You will uncover the answers you need right now so you can move forward in your life and fulfill your mission. And you will also learn how to choose the right guide for your healing journey, specifically with plant medicine. So first and foremost, I'm Monica Maria. And who am I? I am the psychologist for your soul. I'm a generational medicine woman. I'm a ceremony assistant to my taita or shaman. It's actually a picture of me in ceremony. I'm a holistic health coach, a Reiki master, a breathwork facilitator, an astrologer, and a guide for leaders. I'm a spiritual teacher and healer, and I am a student of life and seeker of truth. So what is plant medicine? Specifically, what is ayahuasca? And pictured here is actually the vine. It is a vine. If we break up the word ayahuasca, aya means light, huasca means vine. So ayahuasca means the vine of light. And it is known to some as the grandmother and referred to as Aya. And this is due more to language syntax. For example, we would say la niña if we're referring to the girl, or el niño if we're referring to the boy. But in reality, ayahuasca is a masculine energy, and it is indeed the grandfather of all medicinal plants. It is native to Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and Brazil. And here in Colombia, we refer to ayahuasca as yahe. There are other names such as ambihuasca, and this really has a lot to do with the culture and the tradition where it's being prepared. So there is nothing more intelligent than nature. It is perfect in its order. And when it comes to plant medicine, grandfather is the wisest. Of all healing sacred plants, ayahuasca is considered the wisest. And in fact, all the sacred healing plants are called the abuelitos, or the grandparents. They carry ancient knowledge and wisdom. My question for you is, do you feel if you are connected to nature, or do you feel somewhat disconnected? Because it wouldn't be crazy if you felt disconnected. I think that's where the majority of people are these days, because especially those living in cities. The fact is that humanity is disconnected, and it's kind of like we're in a state of amnesia, and we want to go back to a state of remembering, which is our natural state of really knowing who we are. So how do you know if you're disconnected? Well, there's going to be lack of many things, starting with maybe a lack of resources or opportunities in your life, a lack of clarity. Maybe you're not quite certain on your purpose or the direction of how to realize it. A lack of belief. Maybe there's some doubt or uncertainty that you're experiencing. Maybe there's procrastination. Maybe there's a lack of drive and motivation, or illness, where there's a lack of vitality and life force energy. So, my question right now is, where do you see a disconnection for yourself? And maybe you just want to jot down where you're experiencing this disconnect. When you are connected, you're going to be experiencing abundant resources. You'll have access to what you need and want. You'll have well being of your body, your mind, your emotions. You'll have a sense of purpose, not only of knowing what your purpose is, but also knowing how to express it and fulfill it. You'll experience confidence, enthusiasm, and intentional action as a result. And vitality, your life force energy. Remembering is owning all of who you are. And we become empowered to be the leaders that we need in our lives by being the container for what you desire and have the capacity to hold it. So, what is it that you want to be a container for in your life? And I want you to just write it down, maybe think about it for a second. Maybe you want to pause this and just write it down for yourself and just ask yourself, what do I want to be a container for? So, pictured here is a preparation of the ayahuasca brew, which is the vine chopped up. It's also a combination of other plants, leaves. One of the things that makes ayahuasca or yahe so effective at healing and restoring your sense of power is the intention behind the way that it is created. So this brew contains dimethyltryptamine, which is DMT for short, and it's a naturally occurring substance that is found in various plants and animals, and actually in small quantities in the human brain, where its function is scientifically unknown. I actually just came across a book it's actually called The Occult Anatomy of Man. And it talks about the pineal gland, and it had its purpose in the times of Lemuria. Maybe you're familiar with that. And its function was mostly to navigate through the spiritual world. And its functionality has been atrophied because, let me stop sharing here for a second because I found this to be so fascinating. Its function uh, stopped working, we'll say it that way, because of the existence in the material plane and the development of your two physical eyes. But the pineal gland is right where the third eye would be. And so there's naturally occurring DMT already in your brain. So that's one of the reasons that makes this medicine so powerful. Okay, let's get back into the slides here. So in the spiritual world, your pineal gland is the portal for connection to the divine. And this medicine, ayahuasca yahe, activates that dormant memory in your body's cells. And it supports you to shift any painful life experience that is held within your biology, helping you release emotionally, mentally, and physically. So ayahuasca yahe supports you by cleansing and detoxifying your body. Since it is a medicine that is ingested, it's going to work through your circulatory system via your digestive system and also your endocrine system. It enhances your mental functions by binding to the DMT found in your pineal gland in the center of your brain. Once you participate in ayahuasca, it stays with you. It binds to your DNA. It helps you to heal childhood traumas and chronic illnesses. It connects you to spiritual doorways of wisdom and universal knowledge. It expands your awareness and consciousness and evolves your external life by helping you to clarify your purpose, your vocation, and basically any and every personal issue and challenge. And I say that because that has definitely been my experience, and it's what I've witnessed in the 10 years that I've been sitting here in Colombia with my Taita. So, Yahe is ancestral medicine. And if we look at the root word for ancestral, we're going to find ante as a Latin root word, which means to precede, to come before. And so, this medicine allows us to have a whole healing experience that actually occurs beyond the current time and space reality. And that's one of the reasons that it supports us in being able to make ancestral connections. It's energetically engaging, meaning that you're not only healing your body, but you're also healing your mind and you're healing your spiritual essence. It not only allows you to heal yourself, but your ancestors as well. Epigenetics, I first learned about this in 2018, and I found it to be so fascinating. But epigenetics is the science that supports the healing power of plant medicine. And it basically, the science states that we don't only inherit biological genes, we inherit our ancestors' memory, the interaction that they had with their environment, going back 14 generations, which I actually think there's no cap on this, but this is the official scientific fact in relation to epigenetics. And so this affects our behavior and helps us to understand why we do what we do. And the way that I see it is every younger version of you is also your ancestor. The 5-year-old version of you, the 3-month-old version of you, even the in utero version of you. And the truth is that your biology is your biography. So since your body has been forming in your mother's womb, it has made a somatic record of every single experience, starting with all of your mother's experiences while you formed inside of her. And the fact is that your mind can only get you so far. The answers are actually within your body's cells. And we access these ancient memories with plant medicine and with other somatic healing approaches like breath work. So I know that if you're watching this, most likely is that you have experienced some kind of healing, maybe therapy, maybe you've done some somatic healing approaches. And I hope that you have, because the fact is that if you are going to talk therapy and maybe you're doing different types of energy work, but you're not really engaging your body, there's a whole aspect that you're leaving behind. And it's actually key because every experience that you have had is stored in your cells. And so sometimes you can't just talk your way out of talk your way into understanding. You need to feel. And this is why somatic approaches are so important in any healing process, and why I also love plant medicine, because it is a very physical experience. So besides ayahuasca, breath work has profoundly impacted my healing and evolution. Breath work reconnected me back to myself and my power. And the kind of breath work that I use is called biodynamic breath work, which is using the energy of your whole body. It is a connected breath, like a continuous ocean wave. And I would love for us to try this together. If you are doing something else, maybe come back and pause this, come back and watch it later so that you can participate in this short breathing exercise. And if you're doing something else, stop. And if you want to do this now, come and sit down and get comfortable so that I can guide you just in a few minutes of this connected breath. Now, I always say breath work is such a powerful tool. We literally have it underneath our noses. We're not always using it. And it's accessible. It doesn't cost anything. It just requires your attention. That is all. So, here, let me take a sip of this. So, I want you to sit and put your feet on the floor and make sure that your back is supported, and go ahead and just close your eyes. And I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes as well. And I want you to just empty out all of the breath in your lungs through your mouth. Just let your shoulders drop when you do that. Do it again. And really just allow yourself to hear that breath out of your mouth. And we're going to do it one last time. So breathe in and exhale out through the mouth. And I want you to just keep your mouth open. And if you want, you can move your jaw from side to side. You might hear some clicking in the jaw. The jaw rarely gets this kind of stretching. And you're going to go ahead and just really just relax your mouth and keep it open. I want you to just start to breathe in through your mouth, just really gently. And go ahead and place your left hand on your belly as you breathe, and maybe your right hand over your chest. And I want you to just inhale and exhale out through your mouth and just notice what happens to your body. And I want you to notice especially what's happening with your belly as you're breathing in. Do you feel like the breath is reaching your belly? Do you feel that the belly is expanding on the inhale? And I want you to breathe like an ocean wave, just imagining that there's a wave rolling in to the shore and a wave rolling out back to sea. And there's not going to be any pause in between the inhale or exhale. And with every breath that you take, really allow yourself to hear your breath and to feel like your body is literally opening up and expanding to receive this oxygen. Each time connecting the inhale to the exhale, breathing in and breathing out. And just feeling that you're creating a rhythm with your breath. With the next inhale, imagine that you're actually breathing down past your belly, into your thighs, down into your legs, and into your feet. And on every exhale, feel that you're just beginning to let go of the muscles in your shoulders, in your arms, in your belly. Gentle, full, deep breaths. Inhaling, breathing all the way down to your feet. And fully letting go on the exhale. And just take 2 more deep breaths this way. Inhaling, expanding the belly, expanding your chest, exhaling, and just feeling like you're letting go of all of the muscles, any tension anywhere in your body. And taking one last deep breath. And you're just going to let go of your hands and just place them over your thighs. And you can breathe through your nose And I want you to just notice any subtle shifts that you feel. Just what is the difference in the way that your body feels and the way that your mind feels, maybe in your presence. And slowly you're going to smooth your hands over your thighs, over your knees, and you're going to slowly open your eyes, take a look around, and just take notice. All we really need is to be able to connect to our life source, which is our breath. And the way that we breathe really says a lot about our mental state. You know, if we're stressed, naturally the breath starts to constrict and you start to take more shallow breaths. When we're more relaxed and at peace, it's like the body can open up and just receive this flow of oxygen. So these two tools, breath work and plant medicine, have really supported me. And here's why. So, in terms of breath work, it really plays such a huge role in your personal evolution, especially when you want to solve a recurring pattern that shows up as a personal challenge. It is way more powerful and effective for you to look at it energetically. And right now, I want you to ask yourself, what keeps showing up for me? And I want you to look at your emotions, your thoughts, look at the external circumstances that you're surrounded by, look at your body's health. And you're probably going to start to notice some patterns. Now, I actually recommend that you pause here and actually take the time to ask yourself this question, write it out for yourself, and maybe even list out, okay, emotions, thoughts, circumstances, health. What are some of the patterns that I am noticing? Breath work allows us to, one, be in a state of meditation that's actually active, but that does help us to silence the mind, and more importantly, helps us connect to our body's intelligence. Now, why ayahuasca and why breath work are so powerful is because there is a cellular rewiring that is occurring, that is activating this dormant memory in your body's cells. And this is what supports you to shift any painful life experience that is held within your biology, helping you release emotionally, mentally, and physically. It allows you to connect with the subconscious aspect of your body's hidden memory. Now, here's the thing. All of us go through experiences that we don't always remember, right? We don't know that they're there, and they can show up as chronic illness. They can show up as phobias that we're not really certain where they come from, but we know that we have them. They can show up as limitations. They can show up in so many different ways. And also because we could have experienced a traumatic occurrence so young that we had no reasoning capacity or logic to understand what was actually going on. Also, the mind creates a defense mechanism and sometimes just will push memories into the crevices, the back of your mind, so that you don't remember it. It'll push it into your subconscious because you could have gone through something that was so traumatic, so shocking, so impactful that you had to have some kind of way to protect yourself, right? So I'm a huge fan of talk therapy, but it can only get you so far. And as far as like subconscious reprogramming, you do have to be aware of what it is that you need to program. Sometimes we don't know what that is. And so these two very powerful tools of plant medicine and of breath work are so supportive in helping you be able to get underneath into the somatic experience where the memory is stored in your body. All right. So I do want to talk a little bit about common myths around ayahuasca. And one of them is that it makes you hallucinate, that you will see things. Hallucinating is basically seeing things that are not there. And ayahuasca actually supports you to see the truth. And we actually call what people see visions. And the idea is that you're able to see what is the reality you're actually living. Another common myth is that you always throw up and purge when you ingest ayahuasca, and not always the case. There are some people that come and don't ever throw up, um, and maybe they'll come 10 times and they will never throw up. Um, so it's not always true, or that you'll get diarrhea. So yes, the medicine is traveling through the digestive tract. And it is possible, but it's also possible that no. And the fact is that every body, every physical body is different. Everybody's chemistry is different. The medicine is also different every day. And so you're not always going to have the same experience. Do people purge? Do people have diarrhea and cleanse their intestines that way? Yes. Um, but it's not always the case. Another common myth is that ayahuasca is addictive. It's actually, there are many different studies about ayahuasca being used specifically with alcoholism and it being the catalyst for a lot of alcoholics to be able to heal, as well as other drug addictions. And there are a lot of people that come to ceremony that are going there with the intention of healing those addictions. And it's actually the root of the addiction, which is the psychology that leads people to addiction. Another common myth is that you must follow a specific diet for several weeks prior to this medicine. Now, this is a common myth, especially because of the Peruvian traditions. I'm actually half Peruvian. I'm going to get into a story of how plant medicine found me in a moment. And when I first experienced ayahuasca, it was actually in Peru in the Amazon. And I was told that there was a specific diet. I was also very healthy. So when people come and sit in plant medicine ceremony here in Colombia, there is a protocol that we ask people to follow the day of. If they're extremely unhealthy, they can start maybe 2 days prior, but you don't actually need to follow a specific dieta or diet for 2 weeks before. I think that if you are quite unhealthy, and if you are going through maybe addictions of sorts, that it is very helpful to do so, but it is not required. I think the most important thing is the day of and what you're eating and consuming that day, which of course would include most red meat. People do eat chicken and fish, dairy, alcohol, obviously, spicy foods, and mushrooms don't seem to blend well with the ayahuasca medicine. So those are the main recommendations that we make to people when they come to sit in ceremony, but you don't need to follow a specific diet for weeks beforehand. Okay, so the most important thing in if you're feeling the call to sit in ayahuasca yahe ceremony, it is your intention, and it is with your intention, you will be able to choose the right guide for you. Now, this is actually a picture of me with my taita, which actually means father, or my shaman. And so I think a lot has to be said for the environment and the setting that you're in. Really doing your homework, really choosing a place that is honoring the medicine, where they're following certain traditions, where there's respect. It's not just a lucrative way to make money. And there's been a lot of exploitation of the medicine, especially in Peru, and where you will know that you're going to have the proper guidance and also have integration. Now, my Taita is Taita Carlos. He comes from a long ancestry of indigenous healers, which are native to Colombia. He's been sitting in ceremony for over 40 years, and many of those years in preparation to be a Taita, which he has now been for over 20 years. And I found my Taita in October of 2015, and I have been assisting every Saturday for the last almost 4 years. There are over 20 assistants in every ceremony dedicated to supporting every person who sits with us. And at the start of each ceremony, Taita will speak with you to ask you about your health history and connect with your energy. And this way, he'll know what would be your dose of medicine. So I do want to share a little bit about how this medicine found me. This is actually the Peruvian jungle, the Amazon. In 2008, after graduating from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, I journeyed to the Peruvian Amazon, 2 hours deep through the Amazon River. I had a friend who I graduated with, and she said, I'm going to Peru. And being Peruvian, I had never been to Peru. I said, I'm going with you. And I wasn't even sure what I was getting myself into. But this is a picture of the Maloca, or the ceremony house here. This is me kayaking in the Amazon. And this is a picture of me after ceremony in the morning, having a tea, eating pretty light after ceremony. When she shared this with me, I knew that I wanted to go, one, to my fatherland, and that there was something that, excuse me, was calling me to this medicine to heal my lungs, to heal a lot of just behavior that I was aware of was very self-sabotaging and dangerous. So in 2009, I returned to the Peruvian Amazon. It's a long hike, a long journey. It was a 24-hour trip between flying from New York to Lima to Iquitos to the next day going 2 hours through the river. In 2011, ayahuasca ceremonies started to pop up in yoga studios in New York City, but I never felt called. I thought, well, it doesn't grow here for a reason. In 2014, I found out that these ceremonies were happening in Armenia, where my mom lives and where I now live. And this flyer, I have a whole story of this flyer. In 2015, I found my home, my Maloca, or sacred temple, where I have been sitting ever since. And the picture here, my Taita, is in this flyer right here. I found this flyer in a crystal shop in the West Village in New York City a few months prior to arriving at a ceremony. And I took the flyer, I folded it up, I put it in a book. Then I came to Armenia, and I called up a friend who was the one that told me that the ceremonies were happening in Armenia. And I said, okay, you got to tell me, how do I get there? How do I do this? I need to go. And so I ended up in one of the assistants' homes. She drove me there. And while we were driving, she's like, oh, you should meet this lady. She lives in the States as well, and she does retreats here. And I said, okay, cool. The next day, while I'm at ceremony, talking to somebody else, who said, hey, you should meet this woman, Isabel. She does retreats, and she brings people here to Colombia. And I said, great. So she was actually there. So I met with her. And a few days later, we made a date to go to the mall, and I brought my computer. I was producing events in New York City that were healing and business related events for the holistic community. And so I was curious about her retreats, and I said, hey, show me your retreat page. So I go on her retreat page, and there was the flyer that I had folded up, that I found in the New York City crystal shop inside of the book, that had a picture of her and my Taita on it. So the desire was so strong that I was like calling this medicine, and it literally found me in New York. And I just love telling that story because I think it's so serendipitous. Okay. back to the presentation. So you might be curious if this medicine is for you, and I really believe that if you find that this is you, that most likely it is for you. But if you have been on a healing journey or are starting on one, it's for people who are new on the spiritual path, healing journey, or people who have been on it for a long time. It's for both. It's for all. If you understand the importance of incorporating your body in your healing process, this is for you. If you're looking for answers to connect deeper within to your spiritual essence, if you want to not only heal yourself, but also heal your ancestral lineage, if you're ready to fully know yourself and trust yourself, if you're committed to going on a healing adventure that will shift the trajectory of your life, and if you value nature and want to further understand its healing power, then this medicine is probably for you. So if you feel the call, I invite you to a healing adventure to partake of ceremony in its native land of Colombia. This is actually a picture not too far away from my home. I'm inviting you to be immersed in the traditions of this ancestral medicine via the rich healing adventure in the green heart of Colombia, in Armenia, which is also the heart of the country. To dive into local adventure in these lands with every single experience, from ceremony to waterfalls hikes, to drum making to coffee town excursions, being guided by a local native and actually being led by everyone who's local here. So there's no tour companies or anything that I'm working with, but I invite you to journey to the center of your heart. And there's actually 2 ways that you can do this here in Colombia. You can choose your adventure. You can, one, either choose to come on a private custom one-on-one experience where you get to pick your experiences, from drum making to breath work to eco excursions to coffee towns to waterfalls hikes, astrology, soul mapping, soul remembrance healing process, which is a process that I developed that allows you to regress back to your childhood using breath work and visualization and energy medicine. Also experience Reiki, massage, hot springs, Temescal, which is sweat lodge, private cacao ceremonies, and more. And this is available for men and for women, and the schedule is available on a personal basis. Here's actually a picture of me with a lovely client, Christina, who's from Canada. And this is on our waterfalls hikes after we had a private cacao ceremony. Or you can choose to have a group retreat experience, and this is only for women. So this is where you get to connect with an intimate group of women to share your healing adventure in these magical lands. And the dates right now are for February of 2025. And if you're watching this after, then definitely be in touch and ask me. Now, I want to give you some resources before we go that can help you to deepen this understanding of plant medicine, and also ancestral healing, cellular rewiring. One is a book by Mark Wolin. It's called It Didn't Start With You, and it is about family trauma living in your biology. DMT, A Lost History. I think you could probably find this on YouTube. It is a documentary that traces the use of DMT containing plants throughout the ancient world, from Egypt to, I think I meant to say the modern world, not the major world, modern world. But look that up, DMT, A Lost History. And also this banned TED Talk, Graham Hancock, The War on Consciousness. These are just some resources to dive in a little deeper. And I want to invite you to connect with me. If this is speaking to you, if you're curious, if you want to know more about the one-on-one private custom experience in Colombia, or the group retreat, which is only for women, or the Soul Remembrance Healing Process, which is a virtual process. It's a 21-day process, which we can actually do here in person. But if traveling to Colombia is not in the cards for you right now, this is a way that you can experience cellular healing through the soul remembrance process. So definitely schedule a complimentary connection call with me. I would love to connect with you. I would love to be able to answer your questions. And I hope that we get a chance to stay connected. Thank you.